don't need to study in order to get good at art. When you're looking for resources to learn art, you quickly find out that art YouTubers, like me, like to tell you all the things you have to learn. But what if I told you that you don't actually need to learn any of that? And I even have proof of it. Look at this artist over here. I know for a fact in order to learn to draw like this person didn't even study a single time. In fact, they don't even know what an art fundamental is. But how on earth did they manage to do that? Because that doesn't make any sense. Everyone knows that in order to learn literally anything, you have to learn the basics. If you want to learn a sport, you have to learn the proper form and footwork. And it works the same way in art. In order to draw well, you have to learn anatomy, gesture, form drawing, and that's actually true. However, there is one thing that a lot of people tend to underestimate, and that is mileage. But what is mileage anyway? It basically just means practice, and maybe that seems way too obvious. Of course, you need to practice to get better, but the problem is that a lot of people, including myself, tend to overthink this practice. And listen, I get it. People don't want to waste time, so they want to make sure that their practice is as effective as possible. For me, it kind of got to the point where I spent more time trying to optimize my practice than actually, well, practicing. There's also something very important to realize here, and it's that there's more than one way to learn something. How exactly does that work? Let's take anatomy as an example. There are around 600 muscles in the human body. It's really complicated. How can you learn all those? Well, here's how I'm trying to do it. I don't learn every single muscle, just the ones that are subcutaneous, the ones right under the skin that you can actually see. And of those muscles, I memorize their shape and which bones they attach to. I also try to memorize each of their names. But people often ask me if they really need to remember the muscle names, and yeah, I get it, the names can get really long and difficult. However, I personally find it really helpful. For me. But did you know that there are a lot of incredible artists that can't even name a single muscle? One important thing to remember is that everyone learns a little bit differently. Something that might be really helpful for me might not be as helpful for someone else, but the only way to know is to try it out for yourself. But that's not the only thing to remember. Just because you aren't sitting down and actively memorizing doesn't mean that you aren't learning and improving. Even if you're not consciously taking notes, you can still be learning. Just when you're drawing, literally anything, even just for fun, you start to develop a subconscious intuition or understanding of things. It makes sense if you think about it. If you draw an arm 100 times, even if you're not doing it on purpose, you'll start to understand how to draw an arm. Just plain old practice, even if it's imperfect practice, can go a lot further than you expect. But for now, let's go back to this artist we saw at the beginning here. This artist never learned a single fundamental. In fact, this person had no idea that art could be studied at all. Who is this artist? Well, that was me. In 2019. Okay, I know that might have been pretty obvious actually, and clearly there's a ton that can be improved in my old art, but honestly, I don't think it's all that bad. It's pretty cute, right? And I think a lot of people don't realize that in order to be able to draw like this, I didn't draw a single box or memorize a single muscle. So what exactly did I do then? Seriously, I just drew the things I wanted to draw. The point I'm trying to make is that learning to draw is really not as complicated or overwhelming as it might seem at first. I'm not saying it's quick or easy. It's gonna take time, and you're still gonna spend a lot of time making bad drawings. But it is straightforward. With each drawing you make, you'll be improving, even if you can't see that improvement right away. There's also another big benefit of just drawing things you enjoy. It's a lot more fun, so there's less risk of burning out, which is a mistake I made in the past. And since you're subconsciously learning, it's never too late to go back and learn those fundamentals when you want to. Because that's exactly what I did. I found that it was much easier to pick up things like perspective since I already developed an intuition for it when I drew for fun. And personally, I get bored really easily, so I find it much easier to study when I feel like I have a really good reason to do it. And what was that reason I had? So for the longest time, I was just drawing anime girls and this was great. But then along came a game called Fire Emblem's Three Houses along with his character, Felix. I just kinda liked him and I figured it'd be great to draw some fan art for him, but there was this big problem. Because I only drew anime girls, I had never actually learned how to draw anatomy. So whenever I tried to draw fan art, I just wasn't satisfied with it. It didn't look good enough. But for the sake of drawing Felix Fire Emblem better, I did some research and decided it was finally time to learn how to draw properly. And I think I managed to pick it up faster because I already had all that practice when I was drawing for fun. So none of it went to waste. Fun before dementals. Okay, so drawing is really hard, there's a lot to learn, but for me, one of the hardest things was the mental aspect of it. I was stressing out a lot because I was so worried about wasting time. But it's important to remember that it's a marathon, not a sprint. As long as you keep working at it, you'll gradually improve. And remember to have fun. When you feel ready to learn anatomy, maybe you can check out this video. Also, if you want to see some longer videos where I talk about my drawing process, check out this Gumroad. It's available for free, so check it out in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye!